Hello students and welcome. This is the fourth lesson of Monroe's motivated sequence, and today we are going to be covering inversions and adverbs. This is a part of our advanced grammar lecture. During this lesson, we will begin with an introduction where you will practice by completing a basic grammar worksheet. Once that is done, you will listen to a lecture on inversions and adverbs. And finally, you will practice by repeating the grammar units that I've taught you with yet another worksheet. During this recording, we will only cover Part B, the lecture itself. So if you are listening to this, I encourage you to go to my webpage, find lesson MMS-4, complete the worksheet, and then carry on listening to this video. So let's just cover the introduction very quickly, shall we, before we go to the actual lecture part. So I would like to repeat the success criteria. So a successful student will be able to identify Monroe's motivated sequence in speeches in order to improve your listening comprehension. As a student, you will also be able to use Monroe's motivated sequence and inversion grammar to improve your structure and formality. That's what we're going to be covering today, hence the marking. Thirdly, you will be able to speak with a varied, precise, correct vocabulary and grammar, which will also be partially covered here. And finally, you will also be able to discuss the positives and negatives related to your speech topic. This is our schedule, which you can find on Teams and on Unicum, of course. And these are the instructions for the basic grammar worksheet. So in case you're watching this before you've completed this step, please complete that step right now. For those of you who are watching this later and already completed the worksheet, you can skip on to the next part. We have a recess, and then we will begin with the lecture, part B. So please take notes as usual, and let's begin, shall we? The purpose of inversions, it's to improve drama or formality in your English, and the way we use as inversions is that we swap the regular subject verb order that you have practiced in the basic worksheet. This is what we're commonly used to when we construct an English sentence. However, in this case, we swap the order, and we also add something known as negative or limiting adverbs. Let's have a look at an example, shall we? The first part of the example says, I rarely write letters to strangers. You can see here that I color-coded the subject, the adverb, and the verb. And then we swap it around. So what we do is that we moved the adverb to the beginning of the sentence, where it now says, rarely do I write letters to strangers. You can also see here that I've added the auxiliary or helping verb do in order to have correct grammar. And this is quite important for you as well when you construct these sort of sentences. So the 4 steps of creating a inversion is that you move the negative or the limiting adverb to the beginning of the sentence, you add a auxiliary verb, and if necessary, you change the tense of the verb. We'll look at a few examples of these later. And then finally, you add the subject. Also, please mind here that you can change these somewhat depending on the word order. We'll see more examples of these in just a few slides. When looking at inversions, we cover 4 primary uses, and these are to express a unique situation of some kind, a short amount of time that has passed, or if something almost didn't happen. Also, we will cover the way we use them to express when you understand a situation, but also when you do not understand a situation. And these 4 parts will be the headlines of the following 4 slides. So please pay attention to them as they will go into these parts in depth. When you want to express a unique situation using an inversion, you do that because you want to explain that something happens infrequently. It's not that very often, so it could look something like this. We have the original sentence with the basic subject-verb order, where it says, he never argued that ferociously. And then if we move the adverb to the beginning, and here you can once again see that I added the auxiliary verb did, and it will now say, never did he argue that ferociously. So we also can see a case where I changed the tense of the verb. We changed argued to argue. So it's rather important that you mind the verbs and the tense of the verbs themselves. Here's another example. Rarely has someone been so wrong as you. So in this case, it also explains that something doesn't happen quite often. In this case, someone who is being quite wrong. And we here can have another example where we put the adverb seldom at the beginning, which shows a person who doesn't really take the bus that often. And here it says, seldom did she take the bus. So the negative or the limiting adverbs that we want to use in this case when explaining a unique situation is never, rarely, or seldom. Covering a short amount of time or something that almost didn't happen, we want to use another set of adverbs. And in this case, we have another sentence where we put the adverb at the beginning. We have the adverb hardly. And here it says, hardly had she sat down to eat dinner when there was a knock on the door. In this case, a very short amount of time has passed when she sat down to eat, and then there was a knock. We have another example using the adverb barely. Barely had I got out of the shower when the phone rang. In this case, the individual had just gotten out of the shower and then the phone rang. And thirdly, no sooner had I gotten my receipt than I realized that I had paid for everyone's food. In this case, the person got the receipt and then understood that, aha, wow, look at that, I actually paid for everyone's food. So in this case, we want to use the negative or limiting adverbs hardly, barely, scarcely, or no sooner. And in this case, no sooner than. We had to add then in this case. You can all see here that we've used the auxiliary verb had at the beginning of these sentences. Thirdly, covering understanding a situation. Here you want to express whether or not something will happen. And let's look at a few examples here. Only when she told him did he know. So in this case, it was uncertain whether or not he would understand something, and it only happened when she told him. Here we have only after they had finished their homework were they allowed to rest. So given the fact that they had finished the homework, they were allowed to rest, but only after. And then thirdly, only when I took the test did I realize how prepared I was. So in this case, when expressing understanding a situation, we want to use the negative or limiting adverbs only if, only when, or only now are such examples. And then finally, when you want to express a lack of understanding given a certain situation, we use the limiting adverb little. It's only this one we'll cover in this part here. So little was I aware that she was home. Here, a person wasn't aware that someone was home, and, well, in this case, little was he or she aware. Another case here, we can see little did she grasp the gravity of the situation. Here, this person didn't understand the how grave the situation was, the how perhaps dangerous or such, and we use little in this case. Finally, before ending this lecture, I want to also show you how to combine these with compound complex sentences. And in this case, I encourage you to try to, in order to advance your English even further. It's a great way to combine the things we've learned in the past with this grammar. Here we will see a case where I use an inversion as an independent clause, and I've color-coded them according to the way we've done it in the past, so it's going to look a little bit different. And here we can see the dependent clause at the beginning. It says, although I used to walk to work. And then here's the first independent one. Rarely do I have the energy these days. And then there's a one of the fanboy alternatives, despite in this case. So, rarely do I have the energy these days despite sleeping over 8 hours per night. Let's look at a second example where we use an inversion as a dependent clause. And in this case, I haven't color coded it because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do this. Here it says, barely had I started singing when I was approached by a stranger, as well as having my picture taken for the local newspaper. In case you're uncertain on how to make compound complex sentences, they are created by connecting two independent clauses. You connect them by using a fanboy or a synonym for a fanboy, and then you have a dependent clause where you need to use a auxiliary verb, and you need to have at least two independent clauses with one dependent clause. And the order isn't extremely important, but it does change the meaning slightly or the emphasis slightly. But you can find all of this in my previous videos if you need to refresh your memory on how to create these. And this is the advanced level of grammar, so I encourage you to try it in order to push yourself even further. So that's it for this recording. Thank you all for listening and watching, and please stay in touch if you have any questions. Bye bye.